Hi there! Recently I watched an amazing tutorial from Go Rails made by Colin Gilbert about writing some Ruby scripts for console tools. It was a great introduction to CLI in Ruby and it inspired me to write a follow-up on this topic because I also use Ruby scripts in my terminal heavily. In this episode of Hanami Mastery, I will go through how to write more advanced scripts to push your workflows to the next level. In Hanami Mastery, I am writing scripts for my videos using Markdown files that are committed to the GitHub repository. They are then picked up by the static content generator and parsed to the final version you can see on the web. However, there are some caveats on the way that are very tedious to solve manually, and a few Ruby scripts organized well could help a lot with them. I need to do several transformations on Markdown files content in order to work efficiently, and this requires me to work with many commands, passing arguments, and options. Some of the transformations I need to do in a regular manner are touching the episode by updating the modified add attribute, adding discussions links after publication, or removing short marks from the content. However, there are other transformations I use like removing images and code blocks for easier reading by lecture, transformation to HTML for Podia editor when I publish pro episodes, or changing wiki links to normal links with absolute paths. Those functions can accept options and arguments, and you can imagine how quickly it could get very messy in my program's source code to work with many of those. Moreover, think about how much repeatable code I would need to write every time I come up with a new micro project. This is why, for advanced projects, just raw Ruby scripts are not enough, and using some smart tools could speed up your work with command line scripts by a whole lot. Let's take a look at a very basic example starting exactly in place when Colin finished that solves my problem. At the top of the program I have 3 reusable files imported. First is a repository that can read and replace the content of the single repository file. The implementation is a detail, but I'll show you it quickly just for reference. You can see here that it allows you to read, replace, and check if an episode file exists. Then, I have 2 transformation functions that accept the file content as an argument and return transformed text as a result. Each of them does a single little task on the input. For example, the touch transformation modifies the modified add attribute in the episode front matter. It's important to mention that by default, it sets the current time but also allows you to pass the time step as an option and override this way the default behavior. Then the unshot transformation removes the shot marks from the whole text. To work with them in my script, I need to extract the command from the argv constant which stores arguments passed from the terminal. Then I can add a little case statement and write the logic inside. For each command, I extract the episode ID and read the content using the repository. Then I call the proper transformation and update the given episode with the new content. There is a code duplication here, but I want you to have the logic separated from each command, as I'll have also some commands that are applied to all episodes and don't require this ID argument. This is a minimal working Ruby CLI script that supports my workflow, but there are some problems with it. You can see that the only lines that are different here are those calling the transformation. But it's worth mentioning that one transformation accepts an argument and an option, while the other doesn't. I'll add a debugger here to check the content of the argv and call my script with the option passed to show you what we get as input. The timestamp option needs to be parsed and extracted before we can work with it. Also, for the unshot command, we don't even need this, so it would be nice to add some helpful information to quickly list what options and arguments are accepted by each command. How could we improve on this? Ruby has a built-in solution for parsing options passed to your script named Option Parser. Let me show you how it works. First, let me require the library and define a hash of options that my program accepts. Then, I can initialize the options parser that will recognize all the supported options and update my options hash values accordingly. Here I can also easily add some help information for general usage so it will be clear how to use my script. Then I need to call the parse method on my parser, which will do the processing. Oh, and I forgot to parse the time argument, as we receive it as a string. Let me fix it quickly. And done. This little trick allows me to call my script with things like -h or alias with --help to list program's instructions. I can also call my script with a timestamp, passing the value to it, and it will be taken into consideration during processing. The option parser library is a great improvement already, allowing me to define options for each supported command, but still, if I would want to provide a different set of help for each supported command, different options to be supported, and so on, my program could easily get messy very quickly. We can do even better though. Whenever I work with a Ruby command line, I do it using dry-cli. It's a neat small library that helps us to write advanced utility scripts quickly and with minimal effort. Let's solve our problem with dry-cli. First, I'll remove all my opt parser code and add the command registry. This will register my commands that I'm going to define in a moment and then call the dry-cli engine, providing the general functionality. At this form, my script will crash because I don't have my commands defined yet. Let me fix it quickly. First, I need to define the touch command, which will call my content transformation and update the file using the repository. It contains more or less the code I had in my case statement, but was tweaked to be more elegant. When I have it, I can leverage the dry-cli DSL to add some command-specific information at the top, like what this command does or which arguments and options it accepts. Now let me do the same for the unshot command. To save some time, I'll just copy the prepared scaffold code. With this, I can clean up my main script further. Repository is no longer needed here, but I also forgot to move the time parsing logic to the command file. I'll do it now. Let's try to run this script now to check what happens. We can list all registered commands with corresponding descriptions right away, without any additional configuration needed. But also, we can list a detailed help for any particular command too. Look how little I did to make this working. It's just defining a command class, and then registering it in a registry. And all the tedious work to list information or manage input arguments is done for me. Dry-cli makes utility script creation a very enjoyable process. As you may expect, I've only shown you the very basic application for this, but you can maintain very complicated scripts without an effort. For example, let's say I want my commands related to episode modification become subcommands of the wider set of actions. The only thing I need to do for this would be wrapping them with a parent during registration. Here I'm going to change my commands call to. Now, this is what I'll see in my terminal. If this is not cool, I don't know what is. Dry-cli is one more great Ruby gem for the dry ecosystem that makes my life way easier, and I am very grateful for that. It recalls me about dry inflector and dry configurable because each of those gems positively affects a single area of my coding activity while not doing anything else. I love how dry-cli allows me to manage scripts that grow over time, and despite not using it as much, it is definitely on my list of favorite Ruby tools. If you are curious how I have solved other commands, you can check the Hanami Mastery CLI repository where I store them all. However, instead of this, maybe you could think about something useful for your workflows. I encourage you to think about one task you need to manually do every single day or week that could be resolved with Ruby scripts, and then let me know what you have improved. I seek for more inspiration. However, that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content in this fashion, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. You can also subscribe to the newsletter and follow me on Twitter. I want to especially thank my recent sponsors, Prowly.com, Akilas Yemane, Bill Tien, and all the Hanami Mastery Pro subscribers for supporting this project. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content in this fashion, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. You can also subscribe to the newsletter and follow me on Twitter. And if you think what we do is useful, check out our GitHub sponsors page or join Hanami Mastery Pro for an access to more learning resources and our private Discord server. This way, you can help us build this initiative and other ideas around to bring Ruby knowledge to the wider audience. As usual, here you can find 2 of my previous videos. Thank you all for supporting my channel. You are awesome and have a nice rest of your day.